Cher Thaï, j'aimerais vous poser une question sur un travail que je fais en ce moment. Je suis cinéaste, je fais des films. Et j'ai envie de faire un travail sur quelqu'un que vous avez nommé comme un enfant de la planète, Obama. Mais j'aimerais plutôt faire un film sur son père. Et je suis confus dans le sens que j'aimerais pas que ça soit pris comme quelque chose de la mode. Ma deuxième question qui suit celle-là, c'est que j'aimerais que vous me dites quel peut être le sens unique, s'il y a un sens unique, d'un sujet pareil.
I think he means, from all the important messages in it, what would be for you the most essential gift, of Obama's life and his childhood and what he's become. I think.
So, what would be the uniqueness in this message that our friend wants to convey to the world with this film?
If the film is pleasant to watch, it will have a big educational effect, and we want you to do that, because the film can instruct many people. The film can, people who watch the film can learn a lot. From the life of a person. My personal suggestion is that many of us are very pleased to have Obama as the President of the United States of America. Because personally I have not seen any politician like him who knows how to use a loving speech, to speak in a humble way, and to present us in many ways. The presence of Obama tells us of another presence. The presence of a group of people who agree with him, who want to support him, and therefore have voted for him. Not only Americans, but also Europeans, Africans, Asians, and so on. So that is very important. Imagine Obama with his intention, good intention, with his view, with his non-violent approach to the problems of international problems, problem of the planet. It's not something that just happened like that, because there must be the kind of seed planting in the past. In the past 40 years, 50 years, there's so many of us who have tried to sow the seed of loving kindness, peace, reconciliation, non-violence, the preservation of the planet. And we have been working ceaselessly to plant these kind of seeds. And sometimes we felt that we were that the work had not brought any kind of result, but the suffering did help. The suffering and the despair came and helped to wake people up and to see that there is another way of handling the situation of America and of the world. And the day of his inauguration in Washington, D.C., almost all Americans were behind Obama. Everyone wanted change. And we felt the hope. We want Obama to succeed. And we have been investing in Obama a lot. Whether we are American or non-Americans, we want to invest in him, and we are afraid that he will not succeed. But in Plum Village, we tell each other that we should be able to do something to help, and not to just sit there and hope. Yeah, we have to organize ourselves. We have to strengthen our Sangha. We have to support the Sangha in America, Obama's own Sangha, because he may not call his group, his team a Sangha, but that is a Sangha. If they are not capable of preserving their compassion, their insight, their determination, they will not be able to help Obama. They will disappoint us. That is why over here in Asia, in Africa, in Australia, we could always do something in order to help, not to just to sit there and hope. So your film can help. Your film can help. Educate people, ask people to do something, to live in such a way that can support Obama. And even if you don't call it a film about Obama, but people will know if you tackle, if you touch the real issue. So, bonne chance.
Dear Thai, dear community, my question is about developing concentration. And just before this retreat, you spoke about the 16 steps in the full awareness of breathing, and the 11th step being concentrating the mind. And you said this was the heart of Buddhist meditation, if I remember correctly. And that in this step we should do things like concentrate on the concept of impermanence, of no self, of aimlessness, etc. And I was really happy to hear this, because it's something that I have difficulty developing concentration, and I'm often forgetful in terms of maintaining mindfulness. I find it difficult, especially here it's easier, but at home in Toronto or out in the world, I find it very difficult to maintain mindfulness. And one of the things I tried last summer was doing a silent sitting retreat of 5 or 10 days, and I've talked to a lot of people about that, and I know a number of lay Dharma teachers and OI find that that's helpful as a complement to this practice. And I'm thinking of doing a longer silent sitting retreat this fall, maybe a 30-day one. And so my question is, I guess, whether this is a useful thing to do in the context of this practice. And for me, I know I have very strong seeds of attainment, a very strong tendency to go towards attainment rather than aimlessness and just being dwelling in the present moment. And I know that being here for a while now, dwelling in the present moment has been my practice, and letting go of questions and attainment, and that's been really wonderful. But on the other hand, I do want to develop concentration, and especially being a layperson and being out in the world where I find it so difficult to practice mindfulness. So I'm wondering, I guess I have two questions. The first is, we normally only sit for about 45 minutes here at the most, and is this something that we should expect to be able to do in that kind of sitting period? And the second question is whether you think it's useful to actually to do these sort of silent sitting retreats in order to develop concentration.
You are concentrated on something, and it's very easy to concentrate if the object of your concentration is interesting, like a Dharma talk. If the Dharma talk is interesting, you don't need to make any effort, and you are very concentrated. So one of the ways is to make the object of your concentration attractive. And that could be attained, that could be done in normal daily life. You do not need to lock yourself into a retreat in order to do that. You don't need to sit down in sitting meditation in order to do that. You can do that at any time. And anything is interesting. For a scientist, a piece of dust is also very interesting. There's a lot to explore about a piece of dust. So far, for a biologist, a flower, a leaf is very intriguing. And that is why they can concentrate their minds hours and hours and hours on very small things. So please know that if your concentration, you have a hard time practicing concentration, it's because you don't make the object of your concentration interesting enough, and you are looking for something more attractive in the future. They are really there. Please try. Thank you.
Dear respected Thai, thank you for sharing your insight on original fear and desire manifesting in us as newborn babies and continuing in other ways as we grow up. My question is, how does anger manifest in us originally? In the world, there appears to be so much anger, hatred, and violence. Can we understand the roots of anger so as to find a path out of it? And the other question is it possible to feel and act with anger in a healthy and compassionate manner?
When you are angry, you are not very lucid. Acting while anger is in you can lead to destruction. So be careful. That does not mean that we have to suppress our anger and fight our anger. When anger is there, we should know how to handle it with tenderness, because anger is us. We should not do violence to our anger. Doing violence to our anger is to do violence to us. So mindfulness should be there in order to recognize anger. Mindfulness does not want to suppress, to fight against anger. Mindfulness is there to recognize anger and to embrace anger. One energy embracing another energy, that is the practice. And in order to continue to have the energy of mindfulness, in order to embrace fruitfully the energy of anger, we should continue our practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking. It's like cooking potatoes. In order to get the potatoes cooked, you have to maintain the fire underneath a life of at least 15-20 minutes. The same thing is true with the practice of mindfulness. The first thing is not to suppress anger, only to recognize and to embrace it. And then if you continue with the practice, you look deeply with concentration into the nature of anger to see where it has come from. What is the root of that anger? Because anger might come from a wrong perception. Anger might come from a habit energy of responding to events in an unwise way. There may be other ways to respond to the same situation. In psychotherapies, there are people who advise us to express anger, to get it out of our system, to practice ventilation of anger. And we are advised to allow our anger to manifest. We try to get it out by doing something like shouting in a place where there is no one, or hitting something that is not a human or a living being. You hit something in rubber, or you hit your pillow. You close yourself in your room and you hit your pillow as hard as possible, and that means you ventilate your anger, you get it out of your system. And there was a time when many psychotherapists advised their client to do so, which is sometimes dangerous. If you get used to that kind of ventilation practice, and then one day you see the person you hate on the street, you might like to ventilate like that way. You might end up in jail. It does not really deal with the problem. It's like you use a good stove, and if there's something that goes wrong with this good stove, you open the window so that the smoke can go out. Some smoke can go out, but if the stove still have that defect, well, the smoke will come out again. So there's no end to ventilation. You have to fix the wood stove. And while you are doing the work of ventilation, expressing your anger, the seed of anger at the base is strengthened. We have learned that anything that has a chance to manifest on the upper level of consciousness, mind consciousness, has a chance to strengthen at the base. Dangerous. That is rehearsing anger, nourishing anger, not getting it out of the system. You get the seed of anger stronger and stronger by practicing that kind of ventilation. It's dangerous. The theory is that while practicing ventilating like that, you allow your anger to become the object of your awareness. You recognize your anger. You can get it out of your system. But we know that while hitting our pillow, we are not really getting in touch with our anger. The teaching and the practice is that you have to get in touch with your anger for your healing. But while you are hitting your pillow, you are not really getting in touch with your anger. Because if you get in touch with your anger, you will not be doing like that. You are not getting in touch even with the pillow. Because if you get in touch with the pillow, you will say that this is only a pillow. So it does not work. It has brought harm to many people. And that is why the method of expressing anger does not work. On the other hand, the method of suppressing anger is also dangerous. That is why in the Buddhist tradition, we advise not to suppress our anger. We are not advised to express our anger either. But we are advised not to do anything, to say anything when anger is there. The best thing is to go home to ourselves and take care of our anger. And how to take care of the anger? You have to be there in order to take care. And in order to be there, you have to practice mindful breathing, mindful walking. And to be there means to be mindful. To be mindful, and then you use mindfulness and recognize and embrace and look deeply. Usually when anger manifests, we don't want to do that. We want to confront the person we think that to be the source of our anger. We are interested more in him or in her than in our anger. It's like a person whose house is in fire and doesn't want to try to go home to put down the fire, but who try to run after the person he believed to be the arsonist, the one who burned the house, and allow the house to continue to burn. So the practice here is not to try to run after the person you believe to be the cause of your anger, but to come home to yourself and take care of the burning house in yourself, anger. And the practice is very clear, recognizing, embracing, and looking deeply to see the roots, the real roots of anger. And when insight is born, you'll be free. And there are many things you can do. You can send an email. You can write a note. But to the person you believe to be the cause of your anger. But you do that only while you practice mindful breathing and you take care of your anger. You may like to write 3 sentences. The first sentence is, dear friend, darling, I suffer. And I want you to know that I suffer. You might telephone him or her, but tell him or her calmly that you suffer, and you want him and her or her to know it. The second sentence you say that is, you are doing your best, taking care of your suffering, of your anger, and that would encourage, invite the other person to reflect, to do the same, to ask the question, ask what he has done, he has said in order to make you suffer like that. And the third line maybe is, please help me. Please help me. Because I suffer, and you are very close to me. You are the person I care the most in the world. So I need your help. And if you can bring yourself to write down or to send him or her these 3 sentences, you suffer much less already. And there is collective anger, which is a very, very dangerous. Collective anger and collective despair will bring about the destruction, our destruction. That is why we have to practice not only as individuals, but we have to practice as groups, like a family, a community, a sangha. Thank you.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, before I begin my question, I have a curiosity over Obama. Thai has been very supportive of Obama, and we all want him to succeed in his big change for the world. Thai, do you think that if Obama takes a mindfulness course with you, it would help him solve the world's problems? My second question is, as members of the Plum Village Sangha, what can we do to help the Buddhist monks in Burma, Tibetan monks in China, in Tibet, in their struggle for democracy and freedom? Do we just pray? Do we just do our own trainings? Would this be effective enough?
I think President Obama, there's a need to come to Plum Village and follow a retreat. I think he has got his training somewhere in his own way. I think he knows what is mindfulness. He used the word mindfulness during his inauguration speech. And in Cairo University, he used the word beginning anew. I want to have a new beginning with Islam. He knows how to use a loving speech. Maybe he does not need a formal training, but he needs a strong Sangha surrounding him and helping him, supporting him. As for the situation in Tibet, in Burma, and other places, I think the key point is we all want to support, to help. The problem is that we are so busy. Everywhere we get caught in our situation, we have no time, no energy for our brothers and sisters over there. That is the main obstacle. So how to rearrange our lives so that we are less busy in order to have the time to support our brothers and sisters who are caught in a difficult situation. Like the children who die every day because of the lack of food and nutrition. 40,000 of them die every day. This is also a very big concern. Many of us are aware of that. And yet, not many of us can do something in order to help these children. And the reason is that we don't have enough time, even for ourselves and our family. So how can we reach out and help these children who are dying? How to reach out to our brothers who felt left alone in this struggle for democracy and independence and so on. The good intention is there. The willingness to help is there. We don't have the means to help. So we should liberate ourselves from our too busy life. We are running to get what we want. We are so busy. Not because we do not have enough courage or intention. So we have to reorganize our life, individual and collective, in order to be with each other in a more intimate way. I think it is possible that we can organize. We can begin with sanghas like our sangha. Because members of a sangha, they belong to normal society. They have their job, they have their family, they have their community, they have their aspiration, they have their plans. But it's wonderful that they could arrange so that they can come and sit together for 21 days. And that is possible. It means that if other people, if they make an effort, they can do like this. Imagine in 21 days, all the cars stop. You don't eat the flesh of animals. We enjoy the fresh air, the sound of the birds. We allow our body to release the tension and listen to the bell. We cultivate brotherhood. We are truly making peace in us, making peace with us, and making peace with the environment and with the people. And if a group of 500 people can do that, well, other groups can do that also, no matter they belong to Christianity or Islam or Judaism. And what we do here, we are not doing it for ourselves alone. We do it for everyone. Dear friends, we enjoy this. And I think you can enjoy that also because we belong to the same kind of society. So we can tell people that another way of life is possible, so that they can get out of their habit and they begin to change, so that they have more time for themselves, for members of their family, for members of their sangha, and then naturally problems like the one concerning hungry children, the environment, Tibet, Burma, will be more easily solved. Thank you.
Dear Thai, dear Fourfold Sangha, and dear Four Pine Trees, my dear teacher, my name is Gary, and I bring you greetings from Blue Sky Sangha in Newfoundland, Canada. And our question is, what is the most direct way to realize perfect understanding?
Perfect understanding is understanding. It's like a perfect enlightenment is just enlightenment. When you are truly there, you can get a direct perception of what is there, like your body, your breath, your feeling, and the world. And if you are peaceful, if you are not assailed by anger and fear and despair, that is already understanding. And understanding is not something we hope that will happen in the future, but understanding can be a matter of here and now. And perfect understanding is something that is possible with this kind of small, unperfect understanding. Right? Thank you.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, it's wonderful to be here to pass on a question of our work. We are doing a series of 13 parts of for Bavarian German education channel about the issue intuition. So intuire means to look inside. So I think I'm here in the right place to ask you, what is intuition? What is the deep looking inside to overcome the doubt of self-reception and to find real truth?
Intuition is a kind of direct perception. It might be wrong or right. Enlightenment is also a direct perception, something that comes without the need of thinking and comparing. When you look at a rose, your eyes and the rose, the contact between the rose and your eyes bring about a perception. You don't need to think. You don't need induction or deduction. This is a direct perception. And you know right away that it is a rose, even if you don't call it a rose. Even if there is no thinking at all. You don't need any thinking, any name calling, and you realize that it is a rose. You recognize the rose without the intervention of mind consciousness. That is already a direct perception and intuition. When you see smoke coming, you don't see the fire. And yet you know there is a fire, otherwise there cannot be smoke. And that is not a direct perception. That is inference. That need the thinking, the deduction. And so there are many ways of attaining the truth, whether directly or through the thinking. And both cases can be wrong. When you walk in the twilight, you see a snake. And you shout and you jump. In the case that is a real snake, that is correct perception. But in the case that is only a piece of rope, that is also direct perception, but that is not a right perception. So intuition can be right or wrong. Direct perception can be right or wrong. And the same thing is true with the other kind of perception through deduction, induction. You might think that there is a fire. Otherwise, there cannot be any smoke. But maybe there is no fire at all. There's only an automobile spitting. So it can be wrong. And that is why our perception can be liable to errors. As we speak about Zen Buddhism, enlightenment, satori, we know that the life of a monk, the life of a lay person who practices meditation, is characterized by the practice of mindfulness and concentration. He or she tries to live mindfully, to be fully present in the here and the now, and to live with more mindfulness, with more concentration. And that is their basic practice. In their daily life, their practice is to truly be there in every moment of their daily life, to know what is happening in the here and the now, in their body, in their feelings, in their perceptions, and in the object of their perceptions. And one day, suddenly, a kind of understanding arrived. And maybe he's not trying to seek for it. He's not trying to find it. And suddenly come like that. Like in one morning, suddenly you see a flower coming out of the ground and bloom like that. That is the fruit of a long time practice. And at a time when you do not think at all, you don't speculate at all, that is the outcome of your mindfulness and concentration. Because mindfulness and concentration always bring about insight, direct insight. It's called a satori, that is called enlightenment insight. And that insight brings a lot of happiness. Suddenly you see light. You are relieved from your worries, from your fear, from your anger. So that insight is true because it has the factor of liberation in it. So the kind of intuition, the kind of insight that is real and true must be identified to true wisdom, coming not from learning in the books, but from living a life of mindfulness and concentration. Siddhartha sat many days at the foot of the Bodhi tree, and he was not doing the work of meditation with his mental consciousness alone. Allow himself to be in touch deeply with his body, his feelings, his perception. He was observing very closely his body, his feelings, his perceptions. And during the process of practicing, the power of mindfulness and concentration becomes stronger and stronger. And because of that, one day, when the northern star appeared, he got a sudden enlightenment. And that dissipated all the darkness in him. And that moment is a moment of happiness, because it is very liberating. In the Buddhist tradition, we speak of intuition in that light of practice. That true understanding, true insight come only with the practice of mindfulness and concentration. And during the next Dhamma talk, we may speak more about what kind of concentration, because in Buddhism there are many kinds of concentrations, many ways of practicing concentration in order to prepare for the insight, for the intuition to come. And when insight comes, you just burst out laughing. You think that you have the feeling that it is already in your pocket, but you have ignored for a long time. It's a moment of joy, it's a moment of satisfaction. And the Buddha had one moment like that, and every one of us can have our own moments, and many moments also. Thank you.